Hello and welcome to another episode of Random Musing. Thank you so much for all the love towards this season and the previous seasons as well. As we enter the last lap of the season, if you've seen the pattern over the last few seasons, you know we saved some of the best for the last. And this, in fact, this episode I've saved since the day I began the series a couple of years back when I was like, I need certain stories, certain people to eventually come at the right point, like a good screenplay writer. And I'm so excited to have this episode with somebody who I personally admire a lot as a person, as a comedian, not just as a comedian, but a lot of allied things which he does around comedy, which we'll come to in this episode. But most importantly, as this charm, I don't know the word to use. This, I think the word that Gen Z uses is vibe. Is that the word? Or I don't know, aura? But just this energy, or as I would say as a Star Wars fan, of the force that he emits whenever I meet him online, offline. And that aura is what I'm trying to bring to this episode with our guest, the one and only Sapan Verma.
Hello, 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 hello.
Certain, what do you emit, Sapan? There is some,
What a
has
beautiful
anyone ever told you
introduction.
this? There's some
What
halo kind of a thing. No, nobody.
I just been once Hindustan Times called me in their headline the good boy of Indian comedy.
Maybe
So
that.
since then,
Yes,
since then, people
maybe.
catch that a lot. That
Yeah.
is the only thing that I remember. But thank you for such a lovely introduction, KV. Always good to meet you in person or online. Jaise bhi ho.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At Hindustan Times, I'm a big fan, so I agree. I agree with ST. I agree with them on most things. And you are the good boy of comedy. Man, Sapan, there's so many things to talk about, but I'm straight away gonna jump into the most recent topic in your life because the moment I was introducing you and I said ki every time I meet Sapan, and in the last few times that I met you, I have not met you alone.
Yeah.
You've been with this little how do I even put it? This bundle of joy, as people call it. And I can see that
Yeah.
joy from your face, from Chandni's face of late. Man, what was, so I want to talk about this journey because I have a few friends who have kids now. I have a few friends who have decided that they'll never have kids. And there are some people who are on the fence. They're saying कि देखते हैं कभी. In our
Hmm.
generation, the good part about all of this is our generation sort of has a choice. When you
Has an
compare
option. Huh.
with the previous generation where it was a part of life कि मतलब शादी बच्चे.
Yeah.
This is how life goes. भाई इसमें
Yeah.
option नहीं है. But in this
Yeah.
world of option, the privilege of choice, how did this
Yeah.
happen? Was it like the whole journey? Did you guys decided it, or did you always want it? Was there a change somewhere? The whole journey, Sapan.
सबसे पहले तो the thing I was most worried about till 5 minutes ago, I told Chandni, I hope Tara does not start crying in the middle of the shoot. तो मैंने ये दरवाजा बंद किया है, उसके बेडरूम का दरवाजा बंद किया है, कभी भी रोने की आवाज आ सकती है आपको बीच में. So just that. So the whole journey, bro, I'll tell you. मैं अभी अनिर्वाण को बता रहा था, another fellow
Another.
comedian, comedy daddy, as we call it. So I
Mm.
was talking to Anirban about how exactly 10 years ago, I'm 35 now. At 25, I had written a set about how I don't want to have kids and I
Yeah.
hate kids. Okay. and and it's so funny when I read this set now. It's so obnoxious. In fact, I'm using that in my new show now. I told Anirban that I want to read out how your perspective changes in 10 years, right? And how the jokes are just so insensitive about, kids suck and this and that. And I'm reading that and laughing, thinking, what is wrong with me? So it's that. So I always felt like, मतलब शुरू से typical लड़कों का भी ऐसे ही होता है कि बच्चे नहीं करना है, लड़कों का तो ये भी होता है कि शादी भी नहीं करना है, शुरू में होता ही
Mm.
है. But Chandni and I met in college, obviously. So everything went very well and smoothly, and we got married. तो शुरू में तो मैं शादी के टाइम भी when we started, I was like, अरे शादी, this and that,
Mm.
always like this thing. But once we got married, I was like, ये पहले कर लेना चाहिए था यार. This is very chill. It's very relaxed. If you're with the right partner, and you also know this, we discussed this. It's like a party. It's a house party at home. You're traveling together as long as your core values are aligned. That's what we keep discussing, that in any couple, as long as your two or three core values are aligned, कि आपको पता है कि ये दो तीन चीजों में हमें we agree with it, everything else will sort itself out. So
Mm.
this was one thing we didn't agree on about having a child or no, but everything else we really had a great time after a wedding. Also, we traveled a lot and everything. And kid was always a question. I was not sure about it, but I think something changed in the last, I would say, 3 4 years. I think one age has got to do with it. I think as you get older, you probably change your mind also. एक मुझे ये लगता था शादी के पहले भी मैं बहुत बोलता था कि अरे मेरा तो करियर ऐसा है, आई डोंट नो, आई वांट टू सैक्रिफाइस एंड कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑन माय करियर, एंड देन आई रियलाइज दैट नो, एवरीथिंग फाइंड्स इट्स ओन प्लेस. सब चीजों को टाइम मिल जाता है. आई एम रियलाइजिंग नाउ विद तारा आल्सो कि शी 6 months old now. In the last 6 months I have written a new 1 hour show that I'm touring with, जो मैं पहले शायद 6 महीने में लिख भी नहीं पाता था. बट अभी कहीं से भी टाइम मिल जाता है, अगर आपको करना है तो कुछ ना कुछ करके हो जाता है. तो आई थिंक दैट इज वन थिंग आई रियलाइज दैट life will go on and career will go on. It's not like our careers are not such कि there's an end date की बस 2024 तक ही करना, उसके बाद नहीं करना है. तो हमें we want to do this all our life, so that does not mean that life should take a pause. बहुत सारी छोटी छोटी चीजें. I realized I used to think that I'm a very like a very solo kind of a person, but Chandni made me realize, and after getting married also I realized that I'm actually a very family oriented person. I don't talk about it. I come from a large family. I have two elder brothers who also have their kids. So I think that was another factor कि अपने nephew niece को देखा, उनके साथ खेल खेल के, you understand, you spend your time around kids, so you realize that okay, it's not that complicated or tough and things like that. So I think I also come from a large family. So somewhere I feel like it was in the DNA that okay, you want to grow with a large family. I still like, if I'm in town, every weekend I meet my family, my brother, kids, my parents, everybody. So I think somewhere all of these things came together. और एक बहुत ही मतलब फिर थोड़ा थोड़ा मन बन गया था. एक strangely one show also, there's a show called This Is Us, which is on, I think in India mein it's on Hotstar if I'm not wrong, which is a core family drama, very emotional family drama. And when I saw it, I resonated with that a lot because I have two brothers. I had three siblings. That show has three siblings and family issues. And I felt like, yeah, I want to have a family of my own watching that show. And one very stupid thing that Chandni makes fun of me a lot for saying, but Ranveer Kapoor said this in one interview about his child, that I think he had his child when he was 40 or something, and he said this in an interview that I realized that when my child is 16, I'll be 55. I'll not be able to run around and play and do all the things that I want to do with my child. And I was like, why didn't I have it sooner? And when he said it, I was like, oh shit, yeah, this actually is true. Like, why are we waiting? Like, we're already 35 and our generation already plagued with multiple problems, lower back pain, this and that. So I think a lot of these things came together. And of course, uh, Chandni and I were always aligned on a lot of things. So we were like, let's just go for it. And we planned it. And here we are.
Oh man. Oh man. So essentially what I'm seeing is this is a combination somewhere which you probably didn't realize was you growing up in a joint family, number one.
Yeah.
But two, there are always triggers like This Is Us and Ranbir Kapoor and all that.
Yeah.
ये
Yeah.
तो वो वाला. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts is what you mentioned, which was कि life goes on, yeah, and you realize with a lot of things, whether it's marriage, whether in my case, closest to a kid is adopting a pet. Like when
Yes.
you talk up to someone कि यार एक डॉग लेना है, like नहीं यार इतना ट्रैवल होता है, इतना ये कैसे रहेंगे यार, बट वो
Hmm.
कर लेते हैं ना, and like
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
positive, that's why you do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I also want to talk about two things which you mentioned, Sapan, which was you said बहुत सी छोटी छोटी चीजें change हुई है. Like
Hmm.
where do you see like एक साल पहले, for example, or even 5 साल पहले to now,
हाँ.
what changes do you see in yourself, like in you as a person? Like for example, I feel Arya की वजह से I have become more empathetic, maybe I have become a
Hmm.
little more responsible,
Yeah.
etc. etc. जो भी है. What are the changes that you think you underwent? Sometimes realizing, sometimes maybe it was very subconscious. यार मैं ऐसा हो गया अभी.
Because of the baby you're asking?
Yeah, because of
Or
the
yeah.
baby. Hmm.
I think thoda sa I'll say little too soon maybe to predict a lot of things because it's just been 6 months.
Hmm.
तो
Hmm.
थोड़ा तो चेंज आया, but I think थोड़ा perspective जो है longer time में आएगा. One thing I wanted to add to the previous answer I forgot is that what also helped was seeing other comedians become parents,
Correct.
which is Angad around me, Angad, Saurabh Pant, Anirban, all these
Hello.
guys. Yeah, because I used to talk to Anirban about this a lot. How are you managing with your career and this and that. So to see people, our brothers and our friends, go through the same thing really helped. What has changed? To be honest, we've been pretty blessed in terms of कि ऐसा वो नहीं लग रहा कि लाइफ बहुत ज्यादा चेंज होगी. जैसे लगता है ना कि अरे बच्चा है, ऐसा सब कुछ चेंज हो जाएगा. आई थिंक थोड़ा तो वो हो गया कि अब हम लोग ऐसे जनरली भी पार्टीज वगैरह कम ही जाते हैं. वी आर एनीवे नॉट वेरी पार्टी पीपल एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. तो रात को निकलना वो सब थोड़ा you have to just plan your life a little bit, which I'm sure you also relate to with Arya, that if you're going out, you just have to make sure who will take care of Arya, what will happen to the meals, it's things like that. So I think वो है. Generally, I think empathy obviously comes. I think your how do I say this? I think your heart opens up a little more
Mm,
to talk to people about things, to understand things. Like
mm,
earlier, I think even till 2, 3 years ago, if I was talking to somebody and they said, "Okay, I have a kid or something," it would just be like, "Ha, theek hai," and just move on to a next question or something. But now, when I talk to somebody and somebody talks about
mm,
they're having a kid or they have a kid, I have so many questions, so much to discuss, so much to exchange. So it just feels like your brain and your heart, everything opens up a little more, and you
mm,
have a little more empathy for everyone. I think I keep joking about this now that ever since Tara has come into my life, I feel like I am becoming my own father. You
mm,
start seeing those traits of how you're raising your child, whether
mm,
even if it's something like your temper issues or the way you treat or you spoil your child or the
mm,
way you talk to people. So I am seeing a lot of those things. I'm thinking a lot. मतलब ये मुझे इस पे clarity अभी तक नहीं आई है क्योंकि मैं इसके बारे में लिखते भी रहता हूँ बहुत. But I
mm.
feel like once you have a child, you start thinking a lot about how your parents raised you, right? How you were raised, why this way, why that way. A lot of questions come, a lot of you get a lot of answers also. You feel like, oh, this is how my parents raised me with the circumstances they had. I am doing this with my child. So I think a lot of those things, kind of full circle moments, come into your life. And I think I will discover a lot more of this as we go forward.
Yeah.
पर एक चीज तो है कि I think as I said at 25 I was all like I don't want to have a kid. Now full U-turn has happened. Like even Chandni is shocked. Like because this is one of my things that if I say yes to something I go all in. So now I'm
Mm.
like all in full like daddy behavior. Morning I used to not wake up at 11-12 बजे के पहले उठता नहीं हूँ. Now Tara wakes up at 8 o'clock. She just keeps staring at me till I wake up. So
Oh
now
my.
I wake up. Yeah, I just wake up. She's next to me and she just keeps staring. She'll not say anything. She obviously can't talk properly right now. She's too small, but she just keeps looking in her bed. She's just lying, just waiting for me to wake up like this. So now every morning I wake up for even 15 minutes to give some time to play for a bit. So I think changes are coming slowly, and it's only going to get better, I hope.
I can only imagine because very recently I was having this discussion with somebody that every time we read news about any issue or we watch a film or a show, all of us react differently, right? Basis who we are.
Yeah,
We are a man, woman, Indian, American, etc. And I
yeah,
have seen this change in me and my friends. I'll give you a couple of quick examples. Okay, like very recently, I was watching a scene in Mandalorian. Okay, a show nothing
uh,
to do with all of that. Mandalorian, there was a scene where there was a team going to save a certain character. So they're going on a cliff. They reach the top, and they're now waiting for the right point to attack. Like a team. Okay, and then one of them just abandons the plan and starts running in open this thing. So the head of the team says, "Don't run! Wait!" And that guy shouts saying, "He's my son!" So you realize that the person that gone to rescue is his son, which you did not tell them. And then मतलब again my first reaction was like, अरे मर जाएगा भाई, अरे क्यों जा रहा है, अरे प्लान है यार कुछ भाई.
uh,
Because
uh,
but I'm sure if somebody who has a son or a daughter,
yeah,
like the father will be like,
will-
I really, उसका बेटा है यार, उसके पास of course वो दौड़ेगा.
yeah, yeah,
It's a very weird thing. There was a war movie we were watching, which was Apocalypse Now or one of these platoon type. And the whatever the ऐसा नीचे बॉम्ब बॉम्ब गिरता है जंगल में लोग मरते हैं. And there was one shot of just an animal running away from the fire. And I was like, अरे यार, अरे goat मर. And I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
1,000 इंसान मर चुका है, didn't react.
yeah,
Animal was fully like, oh my God, we never talk about how animals die during war.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's beautiful. So I'm sure
yeah.
like that must be happening with you
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of changes
Yeah,
and change in perspective happening.
yeah. But two things I want to explore from your first part, Sapan, which was you talked
Okay.
about us and you talked about family and
Yeah.
brothers, etc. And I know there
Uh,
is one thing that clearly makes even your calendar now, which is going to London and meeting some of your family and friends. So we'll talk about that. And we can also go back to your life and start talking about right from family, where were you raised, how did you come to Bombay, and what does being an outsider mean? And because that's also one of my favorite topics. Which one do you want
yeah.
to talk about first? Do you want to go to London or do you want to go to Indore? Which flight?
Let's start with Indore and go to London in the linear order,
Makes
I
sense.
think.
Makes sense.
है ना?
Upward curve. Yeah.
So yeah, so I actually was raised in Indore and also Mahu. Mahu is
हाँ,
a place very close to Indore. It's a cantonment town. किसी को पता नहीं महू के बारे में तो मैं इंदौर इंदौर बोलता था.
हम्म,
बट मेरे पापा रेलवे में थे तो उनकी पोस्टिंग महू में ज्यादा थी. तो आई स्पेंट अबाउट 7 years इन महू, 5 years इन इंदौर, आगे पीछे कर करके. तो और वही फर्क है. लोग काफी लोग ऐसे पूछते हैं कि अरे बट जाकिर इज ऑल्सो फ्रॉम इंदौर, बट उनके कंटेंट में, उनकी लाइफ में इंदौर comes out, आपकी लाइफ में नहीं समझ, like people get shocked when I say this, but the difference is that only कि Zakir family is rooted in Indore, you know, वहां से हैं, वहाँ जनरेशन से शायद रहे हैं, उनका म्यूजिकल घराना है ये वो. माय फादर हैड अ गवर्नमेंट जॉब, रेलवेज में थे, तो दे केप्ट ऑन मूविंग. तो पहले वो भोपाल में थे, उसके पहले कहीं और थे. तो आई हैव ऑलवेज मूव्ड सिटीज एंड लिव्ड ऑलमोस्ट लाइक एन आउटसाइडर इन अ सिटी. सो मैं जिस शहर का होता हूँ वहां का हो जाता हूँ, वैसा वाला है. तो लाइक आई वाज फ्रॉम इंदौर, नाउ आई कंसीडर माई सेल्फ फ्रॉम मुंबई. I think that's a difference. But to answer your question, I came to Mumbai in 2005. बहुत ही ऐसी ड्रामेटिक वाली स्टोरी थी. पापा का ट्रांसफर हुआ था, मुंबई रेलवेज में थे, और मैं समर वेकेशन के लिए आया था 10th के बाद यहाँ पे. और समर वेकेशन के टाइम बस यहाँ पे आया था. यहाँ पे यहाँ पे जूनियर कॉलेज होते हैं, ये सब होता है कि ये HR कॉलेज है, जेवियर्स कॉलेज है वो. और जिस दिन मैं इंदौर वापस जा रहा था, मेरी ट्रेन थी शाम के 4 बजे की. दैट डे द जूनियर कॉलेज एडमिशंस हैड ओपनड अप, एंड माय फैमिली वाज जस्ट कॉन्टेम्पलेटिंग मूवी टू बॉम्बे, करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. तो माय डैड व्हाइल आई वाज लीविंग ही वाज लाइक, लेट्स जस्ट अप्लाई for fun. And what are the top 3 colleges? He asked somebody in his office. They said, Sir, Jai Hind, Xavier's और KC कॉलेज साइंस के लिए ये तीनों बेस्ट हैं. तो तीनों के फॉर्म लाके पापा के ऑफिस किसी ने फॉर्म भर दिए, चला गया, और मेरा तीनों में हो गया. तो बिकॉज आई वाज फ्रॉम CBSE, आई वाज अ गुड स्टूडेंट टिल 10th एटलीस्ट. तो तीनों में हो गया. एंड सडनली बिकॉज ऑफ दैट one decision, just the day I left, I filled the form, the whole family moved to Mumbai. तो
Oh my.
या ऐसे मतलब ऐसे हो गया, सडनली फैमिली मूव टू मुंबई बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वन डिसीजन. और उसमें भी बहुत फनी स्टोरीज थी. किसी ने पूछा, मेरे पापा पूछा, हम लोगों तो वी डिडंट नो अबाउट व्हाट कॉलेज इज गुड एंड ऑल. समबडी सेड डोंट सेंड हिम टू सेंट जेवियर्स, जेवियर्स में लोग ड्रग्स वगैरह बहुत करते हैं. तो दैट टिपिकल दिस थिंग. एंड आई, आपको क्या लगता है जैन में क्या हो रहा है? So I went to Jain College for Science and I moved to Bombay. And I always, I think the first time only I came was fell in love with Bombay, very blown away by Bombay. I think it's हम सबकी story, I think half the people I meet are technically immigrants who come to Bombay. And I have always felt like just there's something about, and not to romanticize in the sake of spirit of Mumbai, of course, infrastructure is an issue, but there's something about Mumbai that you can do whatever you want, you get to live the life you want, all kinds of people exist, magical things happen randomly, and I just really love this city. I feel like सब कुछ है. Even like I was talking about somebody about work culture. One of my friends, he's a foreigner. He was working in Pune for a long time and Mumbai, and then he moved to Delhi. And he was talking about a difference in work culture. And I was like, yes, that's the thing about Mumbai, right? People get shit done and move on. So I've always loved Mumbai. I think it's the best place to be in India if you want to be. एंड सब कुछ हो जाता है क्या क्या. लाइक अभी रैंडमली मेरे साथ ये हुआ. आई टोल्ड माय फ्रेंड्स, लाइक व्हाट डू यू से, मैं एक फ्लाइट पे था, रत्ना पाठक शाह, नसरुद्दीन शाह और ऑन द सेम फ्लाइट, और मेरी विंडो सीट थी और वो लोग साथ में नहीं बैठ रहे, तो मैंने अपनी सीट नसरुद्दीन शाह को दे दी. एंड आई जस्ट कैजुअली मैसेज फ्रेंड्स थिंग, पता है आज मैंने क्या किया? नसरुद्दीन शाह के साथ सीट हो गई. क्या बात कर रहा है, नसरुद्दीन शाह मिल गया. लाइक जस्ट सच रैंडम थिंग दैट जस्ट हैपेंड टू यू, यू हैव नो आइडिया. लाइक मुझे एक मेमोरी याद है, जब मैं मुंबई आया था ना, तो हम लोग ग्रैंड रोड स्टेशन के ऊपर रहते, रेलवे में थे. रेलवे के क्वार्टर्स ग्रैंड रोड स्टेशन के ऊपर है,
Oh
साइड
my.
में भी नहीं है, ऊपर है. जहां आप टिकट खरीदते हो उसके
हाँ,
ऊपर है. तो पटरी
अच्छा.
निकल रही है, पूरा बेड वाइब्रेट हो रही है. बट आई
हाँ.
वॉज वेरी एक्साइटेड बिकॉज बचपन में मैंने कार्टून नेटवर्क देखा था, एंड कार्टून नेटवर्क एड्रेस मुझे याद था, तारदेव में था.
हाँ.
ओके, तो बचपन से बस ये याद है कार्टून नेटवर्क का ऑफिस तारदेव में. यहाँ आके मैंने गूगल किया, तारदेव वाज लाइक 1 किलोमीटर अवे फ्रॉम नेटवर्क. लाइक व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग, आई एम लिविंग नेक्स्ट टू कार्टून नेटवर्क ऑफिस. इट्स जस्ट लाइक दिस such silly things which possibly don't really mean anything in the larger scheme of things, but it just makes you so happy. I think Mumbai is just magical in that sense, and I've always been in love with this place for the same reason.
And oh, very relatable. I want to start with Mao because I
Yeah,
know this is not factually correct, but in quizzing circle, Mao was always a question because it would stand
military headquarters of
for
war.
word of war.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
that is my first connection with you, Sapal.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
this crazy thing about how these small decisions just change your life. मतलब
yeah,
every time somebody tells me a story कि ये नहीं किया तो ये नहीं किया तो
yeah.
अगर आपकी इंदौर की एक दिन पहले की टिकट होती है एक दिन बाद यू
एक
नेवर
दिन, yes,
उसी
yes,
दिन सुबह की होती फॉर इंस्टेंस अर्ली
yes,
तो
yes.
नहीं लाइक एंड विथ एज अगेन सिंस वी टॉक्ड अबाउट एज इन द sense of parenthood earlier but with age I am realizing and I think we are all becoming a slightly more philosophical I feel
Yeah,
with age
yeah,
I'm realizing कि बहुत सी चीजों में मुझे लग रहा है ना कि maybe this is what was meant to happen so
yeah,
everything that happened enabled this every
yeah,
like my professional career my personal life everything I feel कि
yeah,
ये अगर वो एक स्टेप भी नहीं होता ना तो ये कुछ नहीं होता like I was recently
yes,
telling somebody कि when I got a job from MBA, now I could have
yeah,
gone any city, right? मतलब भाई MBA से निकल रहे हो कोई प्रेफरेंस नहीं है अगर मुंबई के अलावा किसी भी शहर में प्लेसमेंट होती तो मेरी लाइफ कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट हो गई.
Completely different.
Like, oh
Yes.
my God, these small things are just
Yes.
mind blowing. And the funniest thing I relate the most, Saban, thank you for bringing it up. Because Bachpan se when we were growing up, every show will end with a story. Like, sorry, with a
Yes.
post box will
Yeah.
say something, and
Yeah.
I'll see Andheri and I'll see Varun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I moved to Bombay, that was one of my first highs.
Yeah.
I used to get down for my first job at Mahindra. I used to get down at a bus stop called Doordarshan in Worli. I used to be like,
Yes.
what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hell? मैं देरी में रहता हूँ अभी यार. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's
But
crazy.
I wanna talk about this being an outsider perspective because I completely relate to that. Like when I look
Yeah.
at my life journey, I feel कि हर जगह मैं outsider था. अभी भी
Same.
हर जगह. Like I was born in Jharkhand. Okay, so to give our viewers a perspective, like my childhood was in Jharkhand, but our roots were in Bihar. So तभी भी थोड़ा सा slightly वो था कि तुम यहाँ के तो नहीं हो ना, तुम्हारा गाँव का.
हाँ.
Then I moved to
Hmm.
Bihar. So when I moved there now, technically I moved to my native village, like right. But नहीं ये तो उधर से आया है.
वहां
जमशेदपुर
से आए
बिहार
हैं.
से आया है. ये तो then I
हाँ.
moved to Delhi, where of course we were outsiders. ये तो बिहारी है.
Yeah.
Then we went to Tamil Nadu for engineering. Of course, can't speak the language, North Indian, outsider.
Yeah.
Everywhere, like right
Yeah.
now, we are here, but we feel like outsider. In fact, in
Yeah.
my comedy career now, I think I don't know कहीं से तो ऐसा आ गया कि मैं खुद को ही when I go to do stand up, I'm like ये मेरा मेन काम थोड़ी है. मेरा मेन
Yeah.
काम तो उधर चल रहा है. When I go on a film like a web series shoot, and people are
Yeah.
like ये audition like ये सब क्या बात कर रहे हैं, मेरा ये
Yeah.
मेन काम थोड़ी है, मैं तो stand up.
Yeah. Same. Fully relate. Fully relate.
या एवरीवेयर है क्विजिंग में यार
Yeah.
व्हाटएवर स्पॉन्सरशिप नहीं. अरे स्टैंड अप कर रहा हूँ ना. यू नो I
Yes.
just keep, does
Fully.
that happen to you Sapan, like because now you have to
Fully.
see a lot
Fully.
of things. Yeah.
या मुझे तो शुरू से मतलब ऑल्सो आई फील लाइक मतलब बॉलीवुड में बोलते हैं आउटसाइडर ऐसे एज अ बैड वर्ड यूज करते हैं बट आई फील लाइक मुझे आउटसाइडर पर्सपेक्टिव बहुत पसंद है
Hmm.
because it kind of you disassociate from something and you can see as a larger perspective on a lot of things. Same thing when my family moved from Bhopal to Mau,
Hmm.
of course you're outsiders. अब मैं स्कूल जाता था इंदौर पब्लिक स्कूल तो इंदौर पब्लिक स्कूल में सब बच्चे इंदौर से ही हैं 90%. 10% महू से. So you're an outsider there also technically. ये तो इंदौर में
Correct.
ही रहता है तो महू में. Mahu technically cantonment town. Everybody from my school was in the army. Their parents were in army. I am the only one from the railway, so I'm an outsider there also.
Yeah.
Came to Bombay. Of course, you're an outsider in Bombay. Okay, you're living in Mumbai. कॉलेज में भी है कि मैं अकेला बहुत कम लोग जो साइंस से मास मीडिया करने गए थे तो वो
हाँ.
हो गया है राइट. Then of course in everything you do right even now with comedy what you said exactly अभी मैं now I'm doing a lot of writing work so I again I'm like मैं writer थोड़ी हूँ यार. Yeah, don't call me a writer. ऐसा अजीब सा कोई like I don't want to be a groupie in anything. I'm like writer नहीं हूँ यार मैं comic हूँ like even when you do stand up comedy right अभी जैसे last year I went to Fringe to perform. So you're an
Yeah.
outsider there at Edinburgh because you are not a local British comic or an American comic. You are an Indian guy being an outsider over there. So I think that keeps happening, and I think it's a good perspective to have because I think you're able to see a lot of things from outside that you probably won't if you were a part of that circle. So I think,
मैं
and I love having this outsider perspective on everything.
So Tapan, now when I talk of your career, obviously you started when you were doing a bunch of writing, bunch of thing with like Veer Das wala wo Saurabh Kanti.
EIC, yeah,
Then EIC happened, which was I
yeah,
think, for a few years, and then
yeah.
stand up. Of course, you had special. I think India's first special.
Yeah, I think first special on Prime was mine.
There's a
Yeah,
quiz
yeah.
question,
Oh
if,
yeah.
yeah, if there's a quiz question we make about Indian stand-up history, then because the first stand-up special that came out on Amazon was
Yeah,
your special. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Okay, and then you went on to make One Mic Stand, which is a
yeah,
one of a kind show being adapted in different countries now. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
but hugely successful, one of a kind, very very fresh, amazing to watch. Then you started writing. You've been working with Excel, Tiger Baby, etc. I want to talk about that for a bit, like
yeah,
from like a sketch comedy, and then a lot of variety. Like even EIC shows were not really like you had music, you had like just
yeah,
pure stand up and lineup. Then of
yeah,
course, uh, bunch of things that happened from One Mic Stand to judging comics. The kuch
yeah,
kuch.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how did that? How did film writing happen? How is it different? Like, what is your perspective there?
तो एक तो ये कि मुझे कभी भी आई एम ऑलवेज वेरी वरीड अबाउट डूइंग दिस वन थिंग एंड आई थिंक वी हैव डिस्कस दिस दैट आई वांट टू डू मल्टीपल थिंग्स एट द सेम टाइम. मुझे सब कुछ करना है. मुझे स्केच कॉमेडी भी करना है. इवन इन ईआईसी हम लोग मीटिंग्स करते थे तो somebody was like अजीम वुड बी लाइक मुझे आउटरीच करना है न्यूज़ कॉमेडी करना है. साहिल वुड बी लाइक आई वांट टू डू बॉलीवुड एंड आई एम लाइक मुझे सब करना है. आई
Yeah.
ऑलवेज वांट टू डू मल्टीपल थिंग्स एट द सेम टाइम. आई लाइक डूइंग एवरीथिंग. मुझे in the field that we are in, I feel that we are very fortunate and privileged that we get to do this. तो मुझे सब कुछ करना है. तो आई एम ऑलवेज डूइंग समथिंग और द अदर ऑन द साइड. स्टैंड अप से पहले मैं आई यूज्ड टू राइट अवार्ड शोज, आईफा, फिल्म फेयर, ये सब लिखा है. तो आई थिंक वहां से बातें शुरू हुई थी, वहां से काम करना, राइटिंग का शुरू हुआ था. तो एंड आई फील लाइक यार राइटिंग एंड कॉमेडी बोथ हैव टेकन मी टू प्लेसेस you can't think of. Like one of my first writing gigs was writing an event for Shah Rukh Khan in Jakarta. And this is in 2011. यार, I'm 2023 out of college, मुझे कुछ पता ही नहीं है, and suddenly like passport जा रहा है और ये कर रहे हैं, bizarre things, right? 2012 या 13, I wrote some wedding function for the Mittal family in Barcelona. तो उसके लिए
Yeah.
बार्सिलोना जाने को मिल रहा है. 2014, Sahil and I went to IFA in USA, so you got a US visa for 10 years, so things like that. So I think कॉमेडी इज ऑलवेज टेकन मी प्लेसेस. तो मुझे तो लिखने में भी बहुत मजा आता है. मुझे पता है कि ये क्वेश्चन होता है कि इफ नॉट अ कॉमेडियन व्हाट वुड यू डू. आई नो कि मैं कुछ ना कुछ इसी स्पेस में कुछ ना कुछ लिखते रहता. तो ऑनेस्टली फिल्म राइटिंग का काम, लाइक आई वांटेड टू राइट एंड मेक फिल्म्स फ्रॉम कॉलेज टाइम. स्टैंड अप वाज नॉट अ थिंग, कॉमेडी वाज नॉट अ थिंग इन माय लाइफ. वो तो बस बाय चांस हो गया कि लिविंग इन मुंबई, यू नो हाउ इट इज अगेन. वो मतलब it's just a coincidence कि I went to the same college where Rohan Joshi was a senior. I went to BMM where Tanmay Bhatt was a senior from National College. We met at a college festival. So I just knew these guys. So जब stand-up scene शुरू हुआ, I never worked with Vedas directly, but these guys were doing open mics for Vedas, and I knew them, so I saw that they're doing open mics. So I got exposed to this. Then I met Saurabh Pant, and Saurabh Pant was like, "Arey, you're already a writer. Why don't you try stand-up?" Saurabh really pushed me to do stand-up. So again, it's a matter of coincidence. वही बात है कि by chance जय हिंद वीएमएम में पहुंच गए, एंड बाय चांस वो है कि यू नो रोहन जोशी एंड तन्मय, एंड देन बाय चांस समबडी कनेक्टेड मी टू सौरभ पंत, ऐसा हो गया. बट तो तब से लाइक आई वांटेड टू राइट फिल्म्स एंड मेक फिल्म्स. और बहुत स्लो प्रोसेस है, धीरे धीरे जाकर भी यहाँ पे पहुंचा हूं. तो लास्ट 2 साल में मैंने 2 काम, एक एक्सेल के साथ एक फिल्म के डायलॉग्स लिखे थे, और एक टाइगर बीबी की एक फिल्म खो गए हम काम में. आई वर्कड एज अ राइटर ऑन द स्टैंड अप पार्ट ऑफ इट, एंड इट वाज जस्ट सरियल टू जस्ट थिंक बैक and see that I am working with these guys. Like Zoya Akhtar is giving feedback on my stand-up. Javed Akhtar is reading my stand-up and giving feedback. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I am marked on the same mail trail with Zoya Akhtar and Farah Akhtar. I'm like, what is it? Just, sometimes it just feels like you pull back and you're like, kya ho kya raha hai, yaar? It's amazing. So, just that feeling is insane. And I feel like, again, thanks to comedy, we get to be there. I think अगर मैं सिर्फ writing करता, you also know, मुंबई में कितने लोग राइटर्स हैं जो स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं. I think because we are comedians, we come with a different, slightly different standing, slightly different popularity and weightage and credibility. तो हमें काम आसानी से थोड़े मिल जाते हैं as compared to other people. So I'm very glad that I got to do this, and I am now trying to work more and more in this space. I want to write and make films, and I'm hoping कि अब मुझे लग रहा है कि अभी तक बोलता पता नहीं हुआ कि नहीं, पर अब मुझे लगा, अब कॉन्फिडेंस थोड़ा सा आ गया कि मैं कर सकता हूँ ये. तो आई वांट टू डू मोर एंड मोर ऑफ दिस, एंड आई होप दैट कभी पिक्चर बनाने को भी मिल जाए. तो अभी मैं रिसेंटली आई वाज इन अ मीटिंग एंड समबडी सेड दैट ओके, आई एम राइटिंग अ न्यू फिल्म, मैं लिख रहा था. तो दे आस्क्ड मी डू यू वांट टू डायरेक्ट, एंड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन माय लाइफ के भी आई वाज एबल टू से यस.
Oh my.
क्योंकि नॉर्मली आई नेवर, आई एम लाइक पता नहीं, हो जाता नहीं, बट दे सेड दिस इज अ वेरी गुड स्क्रिप्ट, इट्स इन योर जोन, वुड यू आल्सो वांट टू डायरेक्ट दिस? आई एम लाइक एब्सोल्युटली, दिस इज समथिंग आई वुड लव टू डू. आई एम लाइक नाउ वी आर 35, अभी नहीं करेंगे तो कब करेंगे यार? हम डरते ही रहते हैं, बैकफुट पे खेलते रहते हैं, थोड़ा अंडर कॉन्फिडेंस में. तो दिस टाइम आई वाज लाइक यस, इफ इट हैपेंस आई वुड लव टू डू इट. तो yeah, I'm just really enjoying this phase. I really enjoy writing. बहुत सीखने को मिलता है आई थिंक राइटिंग में. स्टैंड अप थोड़ा सा सोलो मीडियम हो जाता है कि आप खुद ही लिख रहे हो, ट्रैवल कर रहे हो. ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव कॉमेडियन कॉलीग्स एंड फ्रेंड्स हु कैन गिव फीडबैक, बट मुझे फिल्म मेकिंग का ये बहुत बहुत अच्छी चीज लगती है. ये मैंने नोटिस की थी खो गए हम कहाँ पे काम करते टाइम की 150 लोग हैं क्रू में सेट पे, एंड देर ऑल वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स जस्ट दैट वन विजन टू मेक दिस वन प्रोडक्ट रियली गुड. So the teamwork that comes together, कि everybody from the makeup team to the art team, सबको ऐसा प्रोडक्ट को अच्छा बनाना, जो टीम वर्क जो होता है कि सब एक दूसरे के साथ they're just trying to work together to make this product really good, as opposed to comedy which actually is a very, if you look at it, very solo medium. अकेले लिख रहे हो, अकेले ट्रैवल कर रहे हो. तो मुझे इसलिए वो काम करने में बहुत मजा आता है कि along with stand up I always want to do something on the side which also gives you a lot of perspective. I think my stand up writing gets better when I write drama for a film, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीजें समझ में आती है, how to close loops, how to give a redemption to a character, things like that. So yeah, so that's where I am right now.
Nice, nice. You already answered Saban जो मैं पूछने वाला था. I want to quickly ask the difference, but you already covered it. So before I even move on to the next thing, I want to give big shout out to खो गए हम कहाँ and your stand-up part. मतलब legit, I was watching it with a few friends who उन्होंने पहले बोला, मतलब they were like यार stand-up बहुत सही है because we've seen some stand up on Indian screen
Yeah,
and you can see
yeah,
भाई ये नहीं है stand up. So I think
yeah,
that is the first big difference because
yeah,
humor subjective है, वो तो बात की बात है, वो तो अपना अपना है. But the very it just looked like okay, ये this is a stand up person who's behind this,
yeah,
and then we told
yeah,
him यार अपन का है. And it was
yeah.
fantastic. It my probably my favorite part of the movie.
Thank you.
And
I think that so I had that discussion with the team from the start. जब ये offer ही आया था, I was like, अगर ये करना है तो फिर you have to listen to me and we have to do things as I said. So and like shout out to Siddhant Chaturvedi because he did proper workshops. He came to open mics at
mm,
Habitat, that comedy club. I put him on stage, forced him to write his jokes.
mm,
और मुझे पता है किसने बोला था एक हो गया हम कहा कि पार्टी थी एक कुछ शूट पार्टी थी और विजय वर्मा हैपेंड टू बी एट दैट पार्टी
mm,
एंड विजय वर्मा केम टू मी लाइक मैंने सुना तू स्टैंड अप लिख रहा है इसके लिए यार बहुत बढ़िया मैंने बोला हाँ यार विजय भाई बहुत वेरी स्कैर्ड क्योंकि अभी तक जितनी भी बार हमने मूवी या टीवी में इंडिया में स्टैंड अप देखा है इट हैज ऑलवेज टैंक इट्स नेवर गुड इट्स नेवर डन राइट तो मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है कि पूरा कॉमेडी सीन मेरे
mm,
ऊपर डिपेंड कर रहा है कि जस्ट रिप्रेजेंट अस नाइसली
yeah,
एंड ही
yeah.
सेड दिस वन लाइन ही सेड यू नो अगर कोई ये सही तरीके से कर सकता है ना तो ये लोग कर सकते हैं तो
Oh,
या तो लाइक ये लोग कर लेंगे तू सुनाएगा तू इसे करेगा पर ये टाइगर बेबी एंड एक्सेल नो दे लिसन टू यू दे आर ऑथेंटिक इन देयर स्टोरीज तो अगर ये
mm,
कोई तरीके से कर सकता है ये लोग कर सकते हैं तो स्टिक टेल देम व्हाट यू वांट एंड दे विल मेक इट
nice.
हैपन सो दे मेड इट हैपन एंड आई वाज वेरी ग्लैड अबाउट दैट
And this ties back with what you said about film being teamwork. क्योंकि अगर इसमें से कोई भी एक टैंक करता तो it would have
या
just properly
यस
tanked. Like आपने
यस यस
कितने भी
यस
अच्छे जोक लिख दिए हो. But and yeah, like you said, shout out to him because वो दिख रहा था. मतलब वो स्क्रीन पे दिख जाता है यार कि मतलब you're not just going there मतलब hello guys, yeah, not a script. It
या
felt like
या
his body looked natural, like he was
या
the mic, the way you hold the mic and all that. छोटे छोटे
या
different
या
कुछ थी कि इसने मेहनत किया है. And of course
या
you're right.
या
Oh, okay. Talking of mehnat and talking about because see again whenever I talk to anyone, especially in a for not formal but like a setup kind of a thing, I keep
हाँ
visualizing, right. जब भी हम कोई भी छोटी सी बात बोलते हैं कि when we talk when we did this when we did that, I keep visualizing our conversations, and I feel most of our conversations upon happen while we are traveling. Like,
यस
there is a moment, I don't know if you remember, till date when I go to T2 in Delhi and there is that long walk till this thing, right? Every time I make that walk, I think of you. It's so romantic. Every time I don't,
and it's a long walk
it's a long walk, so I think about you a lot. Travel and one another travel thing that really connects us is London, which we touched upon earlier.
yes
I mean,
yes
both you and I are fans. I
yes
want to talk about London just to, like, I'll tell you my perspective. बचपन से कभी बाहर नहीं गए.
हाँ
I think my first flight that I took was मतलब जिंदगी में जो भी डिस्क्रिशनरी खर्चा किया अपने पैसे से किया वो वाली स्टोरी है. So my first flight
हम्म
was after my first salary, which was when
हम्म
I was 22, 23.
हम्म
बाहर जाना तो बहुत बड़ी बात थी भाई और घूमने
हाँ
के लिए जाना प्लीज.
हाँ
Like
हाँ
when I joined TCS, my मतलब like every software engineer dream was कि कंपनी बाहर भेज देगी. खुद से तो
हाँ
थोड़ी ना जाएंगे ये वो ये वो. Anyway,
हाँ
life improved whatever we started traveling, and then I went to Canada quite a few times. Went to the US. So North America was like भाई यही है बढ़िया है. मैंने देख लिया अब न्यूयॉर्क व्यूयॉर्क देख लिया अब क्या देखने को बचा दुनिया में. Then
या
London happened and I was like man ये क्या शहर है दोस्तों. Like perfect mix. And I think in the last episode Supriya or somebody talked about it in the season. The perfect mix of like there is modernity, there is art, there is
या
history. Every of course हम सबके बचपन के भी रेफरेंसेस हैं. हमने बचपन से कुछ कुछ बेकर स्ट्रीट सुना हुआ है या बकिंगम पैलेस सुना.
हाँ
But when you go there as an adult also, you're like, भाई
या
nice, yeah, this is nice. I
या
can come back. And then
यस
I went there like 4 or 5 times in 2 years.
यस
And I know you also keep going, you and Chandni both. And we both
यस
did concerts in London and we both have similar schedule when we go there, where it's
या आई
tourist.
कीप आस्किंग कुछ नया क्या ट्राई किया क्या
हाँ
नया खाया
हाँ we both of us don't travel to London कि आज ये 5 चीजें देख लेनी है. We were like,
हाँ
आज तो
हाँ
इस पार्क में हम चिल कर रहे थे. आज
हाँ
कैफे ट्राई किया खाना
या
ट्राई किया
या
दोस्तों के साथ फैमिली के साथ टाइम स्पेंड किया. तो सपन
फुल्ली
what is your equation with London?
पहले तो आई थिंक ट्रैवल इन जनरल आई एम अ बिग फैन आई थिंक
Hmm.
एंड दैट वाज वन थिंग दैट आई थिंक शादी के बाद चांदनी ने डिसाइडेड दिस वन थिंग कि हम बाकी घर छोटे घर में रह लेंगे कोई बहुत ऐसे शौक नहीं है कार मेरे आई डोंट हैव अ कार टिल अ ईयर अगो तो आई डोंट हैव सम क्रेजी एक्सपेंसेस बट वन एक्सपेंस दैट इज क्रेजी दैट माय पेरेंट्स कीप क्वेश्चनिंग इज ट्रैवल कि हर 6 महीने में कहीं ना कहीं 3 महीने में कहीं ना कहीं जाना है एंड आई थिंक वो लोग कहते हैं जो मैं अब मानता हूँ कि आई थिंक आई I survived travel holiday to holiday. Like अभी मैं गोवा से वापस आया हूँ, अभी मैं literally while we are speaking I am planning a holiday for Jan या Feb कि मुझे पता है कि एक डेट लॉक्ड होनी चाहिए, कहीं जाना है, तो there's something to look forward to in life. So I'm always doing that. In fact, I think once when we got married also हमारा ये क्राइटेरिया था कि हमने शादी बहुत ही छोटी सिंपल करी थी. We didn't do 3 day function, half day wedding, सबको बुला के एक साथ खत्म, because we like we don't want to spend money on random relatives who we don't like, जो आके बोलेंगे कि गुलाब जामुन में मीठा कम है. Let's spend less money there and let's spend that money in travel. तो पिछले एक साल में ही, first year of getting married, we went to like 3 or 4 places. We went to Paris, we went to Masai Mara, we did Dubai, Singapore, कुछ कुछ करके. तो तब से I think travel is something that I'll always spend money on, and I think everything comes tied up to that. I think stand up ties up to that. कि आप travel कर रहे हो, it's so easy to just put up a show somewhere and perform there. Make it a work trip if you want to. I think you learn a lot of things, perspective and all of that. एंड लंदन यार वही सेम चीज है कि मैंने भी मतलब न्यूयॉर्क देख लिया था, ये देख लिया था, यूरोप थोड़ा घूम लिया था. लंदन somehow didn't happen much. फिर मेरा जो बड़ा भाई है, मेरे दो भाई हैं, तो जो बड़ा भाई है he moved to London. So he said, London, Aja, why don't you try doing shows here? And two of my very close friends also live in London. So once I went for a holiday, I'm like, what is this place? सब कुछ मतलब, there's like, as you said, there parks भी हैं, इतने parks हैं, हर बार जाओ कुछ नया आ जाता है. Food, like, I think I maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think food capital of the world. All kinds of food is available. Every cuisine is available. The best of every cuisine is available. Food, drink, culture. There's walking tours. There's so much around London. Lake District and Cotswold and this and that. और अगर आपको देसी चाहिए तो इंडियंस ही भरे पड़े हैं. इंडियन खाना भी है, इंडियन सुपरमार्केट भी है. तो अब मेरा तो भाई है, तो ऐसे भी जाती हूँ हर साल. पर मुझे ये अच्छा लगता है कि मैं कभी बोर नहीं होता हूँ. एवरी टाइम आई गो टू लंदन, there's always like 17 new things to do, new experiences to do. और एक और चीज जो मुझे बहुत पसंद है लंदन में, इट्स वेरी गुड प्लेस टू वॉच कॉन्सर्ट्स, इफ यू वॉच म्यूजिक कॉन्सर्ट्स एंड ऑल. O2 है, लंदन स्टेडियम है, तो जस्ट जनरली ऑलवेज जस्ट रियली एंजॉय गोइंग देयर. और अब तो आई थिंक ऑल हम सब कमेडियन स्टार्ट परफॉर्मिंग इन लंदन ऑल्सो, सो थिएटर में, तो आई थिंक वो भी एक कनेक्शन हो गया है. तो आई जस्ट जस्ट टोटली एज यू सेड माइंड ब्लोन द फर्स्ट टाइम आई वेंट, एंड आई एम लाइक, मुझे समझ में आता है कुछ कुछ लोगों को, कुछ लोग मेरे कुछ दोस्त हैं जिनको लंदन पसंद नहीं आया. Somebody like मुझे, I'm like, how can you not like, what is there to not like in London? How can you say that? So I to love London.
Absolutely relate to this love for travel, Sapan. Because like you said, agar expense hai, I was recently with like discussing wealth management and all
Hmm.
a friend of mine who also helps me with my wealth management, and we were
हाँ.
sitting and we were going through all accounts, all investments and everything, and he was in middle of the conversation he went, तूने घर लिया बॉम्बे में? मैं कहा नहीं. कुछ प्लान है लेने का? मैं कहा नहीं. गाड़ी कौन सा है? कुछ ऐसा प्लान है? मर्सिडीज और ये सब BMW? मैंने कहा नहीं, कोई प्लान नहीं. अच्छा, तो देन ही लुक्ड अराउंड, देन अगेन लुक्ड एट द एक्सेल, क्या गोल क्या है? तो मैंने कहा ट्रैवल है. तो
और क्या.
देन दैट फिट बिकॉज ही वाज लाइक, ओ सेविंग भी दिख रहा है कि किधर इन्वेस्टमेंट गया. मैंने कहा कहीं नहीं गया, ट्रैवल में गया.
Yes.
That's the only like legit expense that's
Yeah,
happening
yeah,
in
yeah.
the household also. We have like
Same.
no ambition कि एक ऐसा बड़ा ये हो भाई, एक रोल्स रॉयस फील कि भाई जैसा लंदन में बैठे हैं, ऐसा whatever मसई मारा I want to go to. And like you said,
Yeah.
holiday to holiday, that's actually exactly how I live my life.
Yes.
Every day, like today I'm like, आज सपन से बात करना है, कल ये करना है, वो करना है, इससे पहले मैं केरला जाऊं. That is how the
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah. Yeah.
before we leave to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like that, man. And yeah,
करियर गोल्स आर डिफाइंड लाइक दैट कि जाने से पहले एक टो शुरू कर देना है या जो भी करना है
हाँ
ऐसे
हाँ,
करके.
करेक्ट करेक्ट, ये कब
या
करना है, ये कर लूंगा, उसके बाद तो वहां जाना है, ये कर लूंगा
Yeah,
उसके बाद
yeah.
वेरी.
And that's what I love the beauty of the fact that we do comedy, because it's so easy to put like, मैं तो ये बहुत करता हूँ कि मुझे अगर दुबई घूमने जाना है, मैं मनु को मैं बोलूँगा यार दुबई में एक शो डाल दे, तो एक दिन पहले जाके शो कर लूंगा, तो काम का काम हो जाएगा, वो गिल्ड भी नहीं रहेगी, काम भी हो गया, एंड देन हॉलीडे फॉर 4 days.
Oh
So
man,
I
so
do
true.
this I do this very often. मुझे तो ये बहुत अच्छा लगता है इसके बारे में.
So true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, work takes us. मैं दुबई से याद है, दुबई. I had never been to Dubai for so many years, and अभी I went there for the first time. Like
What
I
are
know
you
it was a
saying?
comedy show that we were supposed to do in a lineup. I was supposed to come, मैं तब भी नहीं आ पाया था. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember. हाँ.
तो मेरा दुबई का
Last last time.
and Dubai layover I have done like I don't know a million times.
Multiple times.
But
Yeah.
कभी नहीं गया. So finally there was a corporate show. Again, how comedy helped me go to Dubai.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then I went there with Rishabh and I told him कि
हाँ.
dude, शाम में I was like, तुझे पता है मैं पहली बार दुबई आया. He's like, what? No. I was like, how? I've never seen this in what a city. क्या beautiful.
Yeah,
बढ़िया
yeah,
जगह है.
beautiful.
Man,
Yeah,
so much to see and do in life. Okay, sir, I
yes.
want to end our conversation with, I mean, you talked about so many things about your
Hmm.
comedy career. You know, if I have to summarize, start with Mao, where you were an outsider, you moved to no, actually, there was this momentous college application day
Yes,
led to your house, literally on the top of Grant Road Station. Then, of
yeah,
course, starting, you've done award show writing se lekar, stand-up special, EIC, everything, and now multiple things that you do. Like we have done a food thing together, which you've done with people in their college. Done
yes,
panel
yes.
shows with Imran Khan, Javed Akhtar. That's one pattern. You've become a father. You're traveling. Where did it all start? I want to end with this thought. How did comedy start? Like, what if you look back? Because I know that we are reaching an age of, we are at that stage in life where we, like you also mentioned earlier, that while raising
Hmm.
Tara, you are going back in time.
Yeah, yeah.
In your life, have you reached a point where you're taking a pause and thinking, how did it all start? What was that moment? I want to talk about that, sir.
Uh, one is though, I think firstly I'll say I'm very always very grateful. I don't know if that's the word, but very happy that we get to do this for a living. I think it's the most amazing job. The freedom that comes with it, the freedom to say no that comes with it. The place that we are, मैं एक कोई दूसरे comedians का 2 साल पहले एक podcast shoot करा था, and they were trying to make it sound very like बहुत कठिन जॉब है ना यार, मतलब बहुत
Right?
दुख होता है यो. तो मुझे मुझे लगा यार ठीक है, जोक राइटिंग में भी टफ, बट कितना लग्जरी वाला काम है यार. एंड कॉन्स्टेंटली वर ट्राइंग टू डू दिस थिंग कि यार मतलब पर कितनी लाइफस्टाइल कितनी अनसर्टेन है, वो लाइक यार लुक वेयर वी आर लिविंग इन द बेस्ट सिटी. हमें जहां जाना होता है हम शो डाल देते हैं. वन डे यूर ट्रैवलिंग टू गोवा, वन डे गोइंग टू दुबई, यूर डूइंग अ कॉर्पोरेट शो फॉर ब्रांड्स. You could you're doing like corporate shows. You've done this right with Google and like Vodafone and Accenture and BMW and Audi, these brands that you can't believe that they want to work with you. So what a privilege to have this life. And as an extension, you also know this, that you get to meet so many people, like talking to Javed Akhtar, things like that. Just the kind of privilege and luxury that we get thanks to this job. So always very fortunate that we get to do this, and always very happy doing this. Where it started, this is a story that actually I've never told anybody. Okay, my first time बता रहा हूँ. I'm telling you. Probably, I think Saurabh Pant knows this and Sahil knows it, but apart from that, nobody knows this possibly. Always, how do I start? So basically, when I finished college, I was 21, and just like 2, 3 months after I finished college, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's fine now, absolutely okay now. But I was just out of college. I had taken a small advertising job, and this happened. And my father had just retired from railway, so it became like a very serious situation, obviously, in the family. I have two elder brothers. Thankfully, they were here to take care of a lot of things. And when the treatment was going on, I remember just look hospital में treatment होता था, because I was the youngest. मेरा एक काम था कि मुझे I was on the night duty, क्योंकि दिन भर पापा रहेंगे, भाई रहेंगे, कुछ भी डॉक्टर से मिलना है, ट्रीटमेंट करवाना है. But mom, chemotherapy sessions, you have to stay at night just to kind of monitor her. So I was the youngest kid. I was 21, 22. मेरा job रहता था just look hospital में रात को just stay overnight. So I used to do two things. Okay, सबसे पहले I was a kid. I didn't process it as much. I think now with therapy and time, I'm able to see it. So एक चीज was obviously that time I used to take my Dell laptop and just sit and watch sitcoms. I used to watch Entourage. I used to watch Californication. I used to watch Friends. All three in a way comedy shows, right? That kind of, I feel like, distracted me from what was going on in my life. And just when that was happening, I also realized that I don't come from a super wealthy family. My parents never made me feel like I need to make money, but I could see that these conversations were happening. Ki, Acha, insurance se paise aayenge. My eldest brother had a job that time. My middle brother had quit his job. So I felt like I need to somewhere start making money also. And I used all my contacts. वो कहीं से मुझे राइटिंग जॉब मिला था कॉमेडी में. एक टीवी चैनल था मस्ती टीवी नाम से. सब टीवी के का एक अफिलिएट चैनल था जहाँ पे म्यूजिक आता था. और उनमें फिलर्स आए थे, एक एक मिनट के फिलर्स आते थे. ठीक है, गानों के बीच में उनको 1 मिनट का कॉमेडी फिलर चाहिए, जिसमें आई थिंक लाइक ऐसे सुरेश मैनन इज डूइंग द मिमिक्री ऑफ सनी देओल. So सुरेश
Yeah.
मैनन, सनी देओल डूइंग selling sabzi, those very typical 90s वाले this thing, whatever, like गब्बर सिंह एज द क्रिकेट कमेंटेटर. वो बहुत क्लीशे वाले 90s वाले इसमें. तो वो लिखने का मुझे ऑफर आया था. एंड द डील वाज कि आप फिलर लिख के भेजो, स्क्रिप्ट लिख के भेजो. अगर आपकी स्क्रिप्ट अप्रूव होगी तो आपको 2,000 रुपए मिलेंगे. दैट वाज द डील. सो द आइडिया इज यू वुड सेंड 10 एंड 1 or 2 वुड गेट अप्रूव. तो सिटिंग देयर आई स्टार्टेड राइटिंग कॉमेडी. And it was a very weird process, being in the hospital, but thinking of jokes, writing comedy. And sometimes I felt like, is it a very selfish thing that I'm doing? But I felt like comedy pulled me out of that situation a lot. I was very young. I probably didn't realize what was happening. But it was a slightly dark phase in our life. And I feel like comedy pulled me out of that. And I feel like comedy continues to pull me out of all kinds of situations. Even now, and you will relate to this, if you have a bad day, having a stressful day somewhere, but the minute you get on stage, you can just forget everything, have a great time on stage, and just feel better about life. So मेरा कई बार ऐसा होता है कई बार कि 2 3 days I'm not doing anything, I'm feeling a little low, I'll just I'll just do a spot and come, I'll just feel better. So I feel like it's just kind of comedy holds us together in a way. Slightly cheesy thought maybe, but I feel like that. And in fact, uh, I was trying to write this thing. If you give me 1 minute for the, I thought क्योंकि मैंने इसके बारे में कभी कभी खुल के बात नहीं करी. I was a little shy about this, and I also felt like I don't want to play the whole emotional card or anything around this. So, but I felt like you're the right person to discuss this with.
Do
But
it.
I was trying to write this as an ending for my show. I still don't think I'll use it because I feel like it's a little too serious. But I wrote this down because I feel like I emote better when I write down typical writer thing. So I had written this in my journal. I written this. I was just taking this out for you. If you don't mind, I'll just read it out to you, which kind of will context like put this in better words than I can. When I was 21 and just out of college, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. My father and my two elder brothers did all the heavy lifting of arranging of funds and doing the treatment. They never made me feel like money was an issue, but I knew that it was not an issue. I was the youngest one, so I had one job to be on night duty whenever my mom was hospitalized after the chemotherapy sessions. I would spend nights just staying up and monitoring her. So I would sit on the floor of the room inside Jaslok Hospital thinking of jokes. It was a weird dichotomy to see my mother with all those IV drips and injections, sometimes crying in pain, and a few moments later, an idea would just pop up in my head and I would write down a joke on my laptop. It almost felt like a selfish act in retrospect to think of funny things just to pull myself out of that situation mentally. It's been 15 years and my mom is fine now, touch wood. I've never spoken about this before, but I feel like the only times I was not thinking about the problems at home was either when I was watching comedy or when I was writing comedy. And over the years, I've realized that I could have gone in a very different direction mentally and emotionally. So it may sound corny, but comedy pulled me out of it, and it was a silver lining on many, many dark days. Comedy pulled me out of sadness back then, and it continues to do so even till date. It almost feels like a selfish act getting on stage, cracking jokes, because I know that on some days I need it more than you do. And my only hope tonight, like every other show night, is that you take away enough from this show for me to continue being selfish and doing it for myself for as long as I can. Thank you. Good night.
Oh,
Too
first, it
serious.
doesn't sound corny or anything, Sapan. It's one of the most heartwarming things. So first things first, thank you so much for sharing it. I know, and trusting me to be your first audience, and other people will also watch it later. First, to that. Second, the other thought which you put in your like towards the end, which was like not just that we get to escape from a lot of things through comedy, but the fact that there are a lot of people who we enable that they get to escape their respective this thing in what an honor. I mean, what a privilege.
Yeah.
These are the small things I think of sometimes. I did it on stage when I was recording my stand-up last month. I
Yeah.
not as a like as an afterthought, I told those guys that I don't want to do stand-up. Like दिल से कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि I would rather focus like all my attention toward this thing. But हर बार ये एक thought आ जाता है कि यार you feel like यार कुछ लोगों को तो every day some person will message you saying
Yeah.
Sapan, uh, it was COVID and my
Yeah.
daughter was
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you and Sapan I saw your comedy and it
Yeah.
helped me and you'll be like man is it something noble that I'm doing? I don't know. Is it just
Yeah. It
that
doesn't
that
feel like it, but
yeah, it doesn't
yeah.
feel like it, but
Yeah.
it's amazing, Sapan. There is nothing corny. There's nothing. In fact, you should share this story more and more so that more people realize
Possibly.
that
Yeah.
if it's not comedy, I'm sure there is something that everyone has.
मैं वही बोल रहा था इट्स अ
हाँ,
वैल्यू ऑफ आई थिंक जो काफी लोग बात करते हैं फिलोसफिकली द वैल्यू ऑफ आर्ट इन अ वे कि either it's a book that took you away from your problems or it's a movie or something or someone but music कई लोगों को होता है कि जब
Yeah.
ब्रेकअप होता है, दे यूज म्यूजिक. तो आई थिंक दैट्स, मुझे अभी तक इतना समझ में नहीं आता व्हाई पीपल से द वैल्यू ऑफ आर्ट, बट एंड दिस ओनली रिसेंटली आई हैव रियलाइज्ड ऑल दीस थिंग्स. उस टाइम आई वाज जस्ट डूइंग इट वेरी मैकेनिकली, बट आई थिंक ओवर द इयर्स लुकिंग बैक एंड प्रोसेसिंग इट, आई रियलाइज दैट. एंड या टू ऐड टू वन मोर थिंग दैट यू सेड, दैट लोग मैसेज करते हैं, ये बहुत होता है. सब कॉमेडियंस होता है कि somebody like I was in a very low phase of my life, or my whatever father was hospitalized, I showed them the video. इसमें मुझे एक स्टोरी शेयर करना है, बहुत 10-12 साल पहले की बात है. EIC से सौरभ, मैं और कुणाल गए थे वाइजैक परफॉर्म करने के लिए फॉर दी इंडियन नेवी. ओके, दो नेवी नेवी वॉल के जो शो होते हैं, तो शो गया तो आउटडोर था शो. जैसे भी मैंने शो किया, हम लोगों ने शो किया, ओके ओके गया, हमें लगा इतना किल नहीं हुआ, आउटडोर शो है. और शो के बाद वन ऑफिसर केम टू मीट अस विद हिज वाइफ, यंग ऑफिसर, एंड ही सेड, यू नो, आई एम अ सबमरीनर. So I spent 200 days out of 365 days in the submarine underwater. I only get 165 days to come out and live my life. So मुझे कुछ दिन मिलते हैं to spend with my wife. नई नई शादी हुई है, तो every day and every evening counts to us. And I was doubtful कि should I waste a day going for this comedy show or no. And I'm so glad I came for this. This made my day. And what I want to tell you is that you've given me so many hilarious stories and jokes. और हम जहाँ रहते हैं सबमरीन में, वहाँ पे इंटरनेट नहीं है, ऑब्वियसली वाईफाई नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, हमें बस कहानियां शेयर करनी आती हैं. आई एम सो हैप्पी, आई हैव सो मेनी न्यू स्टोरीज, क्योंकि ये स्टोरीज मैं लेके जाऊंगा और अपने बाकी कॉलीग्स को वहाँ पे सबमरीन में सुनाऊंगा, और उनका दिन कितना बनेगा. आई वाज लाइक, व्हाट जस्ट हैपेंड, लाइक मैं तो बस यार 7 मिनट के चुटकुले सुनाने गया था. तो बट जस्ट द वे ही सेड इट, आई वाज लाइक, ओ माय गॉड, दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस समटाइम्स, यू नेवर नो.
You never know. Yeah, man. Oh, what a beautiful end. What a beautiful note to end the conversation, Tapan. I know we can talk about so many things. We can continue to talk about. We have to stop at some point. But thank
Yes,
you so much, Tapan, before we go into rapid fire. Cool. Rapid fire. Tapan, are you ready?
I am ready.
Fire is very basic
Let's
rapid
go for
fire.
it.
Just your favorite this, favorite that, favorite this, favorite that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Favorite Indian stand-up comedian.
uh Kanan and Biswa.
Okay. Favorite Indian comedy special.
Ooh, this is a difficult one. फेवरेट इंडियन कॉमेडी स्पेशल किसका बोलूं यार, इतने सारे तो अच्छे अच्छे हैं, एक याद नहीं आ रहा. रुको, मैं सोचने तो सारे सारे सोचने तो बहुत सारे. कैन आई टेक 1 minute टू थिंक
Ah,
quickly? There are so many good ones, man. I think I will say, I think I would say Kanan's Yours Sincerely, the
yours is
Netflix
the
one.
second
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
Okay. Favorite international stand-up comic.
Favorite international stand-up comic? How to say one, brother? How to pick one like this? This
Just
is,
whoever came top of your
I
mind.
think अभी के लिए बोलता हूँ Ali Wong.
Ali Wong. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite international comedy special.
Favorite international comedy special? I don't know if it counts as a special, but Make Happy by Bo Burnham.
Make Happy by Bo Burnham. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite restaurant.
Favorite restaurant? Nagarjuna, Bangalore.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Dil Chahta Hai and The Matrix.
Nice, nice, nice. Favorite TV show.
Favorite TV show? I think go-to would be Friends and Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
One quality of yours that you're proud of, sir.
One quality of mine that I'm proud of, I think, honesty and just giving it all.
Ah. One thing you want to learn, which you don't know yet, but you want to learn.
Like a skill, you're saying,
Ah.
or one
Maybe
skill?
you can even say as a one quality if I wish I had. Like anything that you think is lacking. Skill.
I think skill-wise, I want to learn something related to music, because I feel like I that is one thing I missed out in my childhood कि मैंने music ठीक से नहीं सीखा. Uh, and I think personally, I feel like how to be more uh, how to be more emotionally vulnerable in my
Hmm.
work.
Hmm. Hmm. The TV show you're watching right now, anything you want to recommend to people?
The TV show I'm watching right now, Shrinking on
Hmm.
Apple TV, and Bad Sisters also on Apple TV.
On Apple. Nice.
And recommending Penguin, of
Penguin.
course.
Oh my God,
So
yes.
good, so good.
Yeah. We'll quickly go back to your answers. Sapan, no, this thing, if you
Okay.
want to expand on anything, it's completely fine.
Yes.
Favorite
Yes.
Indian stand-up comic, you picked Kanan and Biswa. Favorite,
Yes, I think the reason I chose both is because again मुझे ये लगता है मुझे generally art of pop culture में लगता है कि my options keep changing every week basis what I saw recently, but I really like Kanan's storytelling and structure of the shows, and I really like Biswa's joke just the jokes in specific. तो मुझे लगता है वो दोनों का combination बहुत beautiful है. I love to see Karan's 1 hour specials because of the way he crafts it. It's like a screenplay. It unfolds like a book and a screenplay. And I like watching this one stage every time because he just does something stupid or crazy. So it's just always funny to watch the two of them.
absolutely. Favorite Indian comedy special, you picked Yours Sincerely by Kanan.
Yes.
Favorite
Same, I think
international,
same thing because of I think the way
yeah,
it unfolds like a structure. It doesn't feel like a 1 hour comedy show, it feels like a comety special in a
correct,
sense. You know what I'm
correct.
saying?
No,
It
I
comes
agree.
together really well.
I agree because a lot of people, like it's a lot of people to मैं ऐसे बोलता हूँ जैसे, but like the whole R whatever circuit,
Yeah,
like a lot of people love keep it real way more than Yours Sincerely, but I am from
yeah,
that minority with you, which
yeah,
I think prefers Yours Sincerely. And I'd seen the
yeah.
taping in Bangalore when he had taped it. And that evening only
Oh,
I told him when we were in the post taping party, I told him, man, this is the best thing I've seen. I've not seen anything better.
yeah,
It was just so good.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
international comic, you picked Ali Wong.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where it keeps changing every month. मुझे बस ये पता है कि Chandni enjoys watching Ali Wong a lot. So that's one of, normally as comedians, we keep watching everything. But I know this is one, whenever she drops anything, I know that we'll enjoy watching it. And her first special, Baby Cobra, was very
Baby
funny. I've
Cobra.
gone and, yeah, visited. But there's so many, like, again, internationally. Like, I recently discovered Tom Papa. I don't know if you know, Tom Papa has 4 specials on Netflix. तो मुझे तो
Okay.
पता ही नहीं था ये कॉमिक कौन है. मैंने अभी देखा. I really enjoyed it. So I'm now going back and watching
Uh,
everything. Actually, my favorite comedy special अब मुझे याद आया, it's actually Tambourine by Chris Rock.
ah,
That's the one that I keep going back to. If you ask me,
yeah,
actually, now I remember that is the one that I keep going back to. Again, it
yeah.
comes together. It starts with like commentary on other people. It goes very inwards. He talks about his divorce and him cheating on his wife, and it ends with a tambourine again. Very funny.
Yeah, I think 2018, 17, 18, 19 type. Like I remember
Yeah,
Tambourine
around
came
that
and
time. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that is directed by Bo Burnham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So that's
oh,
I think definitely. I think yeah, definitely that would be the special.
okay. Maybe someone one day you'll look back and you'll be like, Baby Cobra also affected this baby decision.
Yeah,
You know,
you never know. You
you
never
never
know.
know. You're like,
Yeah,
can't say.
yeah.
Okay. Nagarjuna, you picked as your favorite restaurant.
I think मतलब ये सब फैंसी रेस्टोरेंट्स वगैरह तो आते रहते हैं, बट आई थिंक दैट इज वन प्लेस आई लुक फॉरवर्ड टू गोइंग टू. इट्स जस्ट
Absolutely.
सिंपल, नो कॉम्प्लिकेशन, आस्क फॉर द
Absolutely.
थाली, enjoy it, don't eat anything after that, go to sleep for 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. To let our audience know, there was one day when Sapan was in Bangalore and we were discussing, Sapan was checking कि कुछ नया discover किया गया, कुछ यहाँ खा सकते हैं वो. And I was like, where is your show and everything? He said corporate है, Whitefield में, etc. etc. And then Sapan, I think, message saying, oh, there's a Nagarjuna in Whitefield. And that meant end of conversation.
Yes, done. I remember you sent me 3 or 4 recommendations and you checked
Yeah.
with me in the evening. You're like, brother, where you went? I said, brother, Nagarjuna.
Of course. Because yeah, I didn't know there was a Nagarjuna outlet in Whitefield.
Yes,
End
yes.
of conversation. Favorite movie you picked Dil Chahta hai and made it. Dil Chahta, in fact, you guys made a nice video a
A
few
parody song.
back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
right? Like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So again, I think I've chosen movies just thinking what was like a one you've seen something at an impressionable age, and
Hmm.
that kind of changes your perspective. I think दिल चाहता was the first film जो देख के लगा कि ओ हिंदी movies में भी ऐसा हो सकता है. उसके पहले बहुत cliche, not cliche, but those kind of
Yeah.
movies. दिल चाहता was a turning point in the film cinema, and same thing with the Matrix. And Matrix का I feel like every time that I watch it, I discover something new because I think the first 5 times that I watched it, I was just obsessed with the slow motion action sequence. The story भी समझ में नहीं आई होगी. फिर
Hmm.
धीरे धीरे story समझ में आई. Then now you also see the cultural significance of it,
Hmm.
the whole thing of living an alternate life and all of that, and then the whole concept of Oracle. कुछ कुछ चीजें तो मुझे अब जाके जब मैं टीवी पे आती देखता हूँ कि अच्छा
Hmm.
ये मीनिंग था. So I feel like you keep peeling the layers. In fact, just before this call, And keep reading these makings and behind the scenes. So I was reading about the Matrix also some behind the scenes just before this call. So just I feel like both these movies came around the same time. Maybe I was very impressionable age that time, but just something that stays with you.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Matrix तो some things I also like relate. अभी पता
Yeah.
लगा वो चीज का मतलब ये था क्या? मैं
हाँ
बहुत
हाँ
साल
हाँ.
तक, for example, red blue pill, I didn't understand the metaphor for
Yes. Yes.
for me it
Yes.
was a choice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
मुझे
Yeah.
लगा अच्छा ये बोलना चाह रहे थे क्या? अच्छा
हाँ
okay.
हाँ. Yeah.
And but Saban, just that reminds me, ऐसा just to make you feel even better when you saw दिल चाहता है, did you think कि एक दिन तो एक्सेल के साथ बैठ के ऐसा I'll be like, come on.
Exactly.
Would have
That's what I'm
done.
saying. That's the beauty of Mumbai, dude. You
Yeah.
come, you work hard, you get where you want to be.
Man, absolutely. TV show, Friends, of course, everyone talks about. So I want you to quickly tell us about Studio 60 so that our audience maybe discovers a new show.
I think Studio 60 के 2 ही सीजन है. I think अब वो I, कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म पे मुझे याद नहीं है. मैथ्यू पेरी का शो, I think it was his first show after Friends. It was about two writers who were running a late night show. I think Saturday Night Live kind of a show, and the behind the scenes of that show. Uh, um, so just a very good show, and I think maybe because I was an aspiring writer, so I
Hmm.
really related to that show. Very well written, very well acted. So again, it's a show that I keep going back to whenever I feel lost as a creative person, as a writer. Sometimes I just go back to that show once in a while and just feel like, yeah, यही तो we are almost aspiring to be the same people.
Hmm.
So very excited to. I think if you're in the creative field or a writer, you should
I've
watch it.
not seen Studio 60. I will figure out कहाँ पे and I'll watch it.
हाँ.
One quality of yours you're proud of. See, you said honesty, and this gives me the point which you mentioned earlier of how to close the loop. I started this show by trying to find a word to describe you, Sapan, and I was figuring between vibe and aura and halo. I think it's the honesty. I think you found it. There is something really honest about you, and not to make it awkward and more
Yeah.
romantic, Sapan. But every time I think there's a sense which is unfortunately I feel that it's very rare in the field that we are in. So there is a certain I think that's what I was looking for. You have closed the loop for me in this.
हाँ मुझे मतलब this is one thing I'm very not proud of but happy about in anything. I give it all. Like काम में भी कुछ भी हो मुझे पता है that I may not be the best comedian but I'll work 10 times harder than anybody else and with full honesty and deliver best to my capacity. So that is something I always believe in कि मैं
It
कर
shows.
दूंगा सब कर दूंगा.
And it shows. I have to agree. And it shows. Yeah. 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 One skill you want to have music, again, it's something that I think is हम सब में वो एक तो एक common है. I've seen this
मुझे जब जब भी कोई कॉमिक गिटार उठाता है मुझे इतनी जेलसी होती है ना. ऐसे भी
thing.
करुणेश ने वो गाना डाला था
हाँ.
जिसका आई वाज लाइक मैन लाइक दैट्स व्हाई आई यूज्ड टू लाइक डूइंग ईआईसी सॉन्ग्स क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत
Yeah.
बेसुरा गाते थे पर मिल के कोरस में ठीक हो जाता था वो.
But
तो आई
you
थिंक
are right. It's the cheerleader effect
इट्स द चीयरलीडर है. तो
because
जब व्हेनेवर
अभी I saw on reel आपका पुराना I think it was Rahul Gandhi song or one of those
मोदी
political
सॉन्ग.
songs which keeps coming in reel for
या
obviously.
या
And I saw and my first reaction to that was अरे अच्छा गा रहे यार ये लोग यार.
या कोई अच्छा नहीं गाता है मिलके अच्छा गा लेते हैं बट आई थिंक म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट व्हेनेवर आई सी एनी कॉमेडियन डूइंग म्यूजिक टुगेदर आई एम लाइक ये तो
Yeah,
किल है मतलब ये आना दिस इज अ स्किल दैट शुड कम.
yeah.
छूट गया पर कोई बात नहीं.
Kenny, this other, this
Yeah,
Karunesh.
all these guys, everybody, all these guys, just too good.
Okay. And yeah, you said yeah, a few shows you recommended. Shrinking, great show. Like everyone talks about it. It's a nice feel good, very nice
Yeah,
cast and topic and everything.
I
Bad.
think Apple TV is making very good feel good shows in the last 2 3 years जो और कोई नहीं बना रहा है. मुझे लग रहा है वो स्पेस बहुत मिसिंग है. सब कुछ क्राइम थ्रिलर हॉरर हो गया है. I think between like Shrinking, there's 3 or 4 shows like that. Ted Lasso, of course, started it. Then
Yeah,
from Ted Lasso, Shrinking, then there is like 2 or 3 other shows on Apple TV which are very good.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Bad Sister, you said Penguin, of course, man. We can talk about Penguin for hours.
What a show, man!
What a show. What a
Just
show. What a
can't believe it.
show. What a show. But that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, Tapan, for taking out time and gracing us with your honest and this vibe that you bring, Tapan. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you, K. Thank you, KV. See you soon. Bye bye.
you.